the moment that they turn around and realize that camera staring right back at them, they're off of 98th Street, and one of those bullets traveling and hitting Caballero. Of how a search like this goes, we're going to go up and give you guys a look. The capital murder trial of a local mother accused of killing her 2-year-old daughter now underway. Knows that pain all too well of getting that phone call that their son had died following a fraternity event. Now, we got a lot of calls early this morning about an explosion. Now, that happened because of one of the lines becoming overheated. The dive team and crews continue searching for that missing baby. Minutes before the mall closed its doors tonight, shoppers scattered in a panic and calling each other up, trying to make sure that their neighbors were okay. Search continues for the man wanted for robbing a Happy State Bank, where he claimed to have an explosive device. Not talking about preparations anymore. This storm is just about here now. How calm it is out here this morning, when just yesterday afternoon it was a completely different scene. It's about the same thing as driving the length of a football field blindly. So the timeline of all this, as we're now learning, begins Sunday night as investigators work to find out what started a deadly fire in Matador early New Year's Day. Several law enforcement agencies still remain on scene. This is a very active investigation. They think this house doesn't really belong here anymore, if not properly boarded up. Connect with their fellow Americans everywhere, but they say that West Texas is very special. Now I'll be back here Monday or sometime next week, right?
I'll stick the CDC on you.
Okay. All right. Whatever, Chris. All right, guys. Oh, it's going to be beautiful. Yeah. I'm going to be outside. I won't need a jacket. Big trucks. And also, it's barbecue. But have you ever seen both of those things combined into one? A few months after first opening their doors, this is the last thing that any business owner wants to come across. The strong smell of fish. And when they came down to check it out for themselves, they found hundreds outside this bedroom window. But it's that very smell that saved their lives.
And I was just hoping that my experience and the fact that I was in a helicopter could help.
When retired officer John Kimmel hopped in his helicopter on Monday, he had no idea that he would be flying into a multi-agency search for a missing child.
We were actually just out for a morning flight around Lubbock, just enjoying the morning, and we were headed back to the airport, flew over the lake, and I saw all the emergency vehicles out there, but I didn't see any air assets at all.
As the Lubbock fire dive team worked on the water, Kimmel hovered from above.
You can see so much more from the air than you can from the ground. In a water search, if you're on the surface of the water, that's basically all you see.
At around 9 a.m. Tuesday, Kimmel made the discovery everyone had been waiting for. The nearly 40-hour search finally ended.
I was very lucky that we were in the right place at the right time.
Kimmel, a 25-year law enforcement veteran, shares it was instinct to respond to the effort. His fellow officers appreciative of his service once again.
A retired law enforcement pilot who had the resource available that they offered to us, which proved invaluable to our success.
It was nice to have that reception and feel that, you know, that brotherhood again.
I couldn't sleep last night. I haven't been to sleep yet.
It was in the early hours of Thanksgiving morning when Lubbock police responded to a home near 41st and University. There they found 27-year-old Jimmy Wynn dead and 64-year-old James Wiedemann brutally stabbed and bitten.
I was just sitting in front of the TV and something came crashing through the window and back. He came through the room running at me. He's naked but with a knife in his hand. And he kept shouting at me and screaming, and that he was going to kill me.
The Navy veteran, taken by surprise, tried reasoning with his attacker.
You don't know me. There's no reason to do this. We don't have to do this. We could just stop. And every time I tried to stop, he would just stab at me again.
But Wiedemann knew he had to fight back, eventually killing Wynn after pinning him down and turning his own knife against him. After the altercation, he crawled from his door to his neighbors for help.
I was devastated. He's a very good friend of mine. We do things together. And I thought the worst.
Wynn, too, was a veteran. He served in the Marines. Wiedemann believes he may have been suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder.
A lot of people don't think it's real, but it's very real.
As veterans, to me, we feel like brothers. You know. I'm actually a Vietnam War veteran. I saw a lot of action and stuff like this that happened, but it blew me away.
Wiedemann was released from the hospital just a day after the attack, and although still in pain, he says he won't allow the experience to harden his heart.
I don't want any of the family members of this young man to feel negative toward me. I hold no animosity towards him or what happened.
Laughing all the way.
Christmas music fills the sanctuary of Holy Spirit Catholic Church as Father Mike Jolie plays for some of the youngest parishioners.
Very cool boys and girls.
The pastor of St. Joan of Arc in Yorktown, Virginia, Father Jolie, was invited here to celebrate the second week of Advent and also to share his gift of music. But one thing that may not be as obvious.
I lost my sight when I was 5.5 years old. I had a brain tumor as a little boy on my optic nerve.
Father Jolie says at even a young age came waves of grief and self-pity.
And fear that, am I going to be able to live as an unsighted guy, as a blind guy in a sighted world?
Until he found fulfillment in taking on his struggles and turning to his faith.
We hand them over to the Lord, who brings life out of these struggles.
And today, one of just a few blind ordained priests in the country, Father Jolie does pretty much everything any priest can do, just a little differently.
Reading Braille is, I don't have to look down.
While still here in Lubbock, Father Jolie says he wants to meet as many folks as he can and get the full West Texas experience.
I'll be taking a walk through a cotton field because I want to use my hands and my ears and see what I can see for a blind guy in a cotton field.
This is KLBK News at noon.
Good afternoon. I'm Leslie Adami. Thanks for joining us. Well, one man now in custody following a cross-county chase that began in Post early this morning. The Lubbock County Sheriff's Office confirming 46-year-old Lucio Camacho was arrested after the chase and has been charged with abandonment of a child, evading in a vehicle, and resisting arrest. Now, according to the Garza County Sheriff's Office, the chase began around 1:30 and ended in southeast Lubbock County in front of the Chisholm's truck stop on Highway 84. By 2:15, both the Lubbock and Garza County Sheriff's Offices, DPS, Slayton PD, and EMS were all on scene. The Texas Rangers are assisting the Garza County Sheriff's Office with this investigation, who will be filing charges. They are also assisting the Bailey County Sheriff's Office with the homicide investigation. Now, at this time, we have no confirmed injuries or what might have led to this chase, but we'll continue to follow the story and bring you updates as they become available. And it's not something we've seen around these parts lately, but it's no secret when it does rain here in town, it can flood. However, officials hope that a $25 million drainage project in Northwest Lubbock will help with that problem. Right now, Peoria Avenue is blocked off all the way down to 19th Street. Engineers with the city say they're installing a storm sewer pipeline to connect Northwest Lubbock down to Maxey Park, something they hope will prevent road closures caused by flooding in the future. Now, while some businesses in the area say the construction is a bit of an inconvenience, it's nothing compared to the problems they face when it rains.
Not very fun, and it gets up over the curbs and you got it off the street, the cars coming and it's just coming way up in here. We see quite a few cars that get stuck because they come flying around the corner, and we're like, there's, tons of water sitting up there. It just does not drain off very fast at all.
Now, looking ahead to Monday, here's a look at those street closures scheduled for the drainage improvement project. Drivers are encouraged to avoid the construction area if possible and to use extreme caution while driving in and around the area. And there are now 2 massive lottery jackpots out there. People around the country are buying tickets with hopes of winning the Powerball and Mega Millions. I mean, we're seeing it here across the South Plains, but the odds are stacked against them. Laura Podesta reports. All right, Laura, thank you. It's true, you never know. And the average American spends $200 a year on lottery tickets. And get excited, Red Raider fans. Game day is back, and it's here at home after their big win in Kansas Wednesday. Fans hope more students will show up to games to show support for tomorrow's big game over at the USA against Kansas State. Texas Tech Athletics expect that it's going to be a full house, so some pro tips for you if they plan on going to the game. Make sure you get there early to avoid traffic and any parking issues. Well, still to come right here on your KLBK News, humans aren't the only ones having a hard time adjusting when cold weather strikes. Dozens of sea turtles are becoming what's called cold stunned.